Greetings, everyone. This today is a conversation between my sister and I. So we are now in the equinox, and now is the time to come to your new path, come to your true self. This is no perspective. This is absolute and obsolete. This is the truth. And whether you know or whether you don't know, that the fact is and will always remain that there is an energy that is harnessing us from our full capacity, and they know what's happening right now. They know, and they will stop at nothing to keep us as a collective. They love that term. They created that term, the collective. That is not our term. We are their collective, and it's time to step outside of that. We're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about the weather. Going to be talking about what's in the news feed on Facebook today. We're going to be talking about what sort of shoes we've been buying. I'm just joking. This is my sister Kara. I'll get her to introduce herself, and you'll know who I am by now. So, Kara, how are you today?
I'm okay. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm a bit nervous. And I'm guessing for all those that don't know me, it's really interesting. I'm like, me and my brother are very close, and as you'll get to see, we're very connected and very similar. Just recently, for example, Adam will link me to his friends, and the first thing they ask is, do they like your posts, or is she interested in the same things? And because Adam and I are very connected, we are walking a very similar path. But we like to fuck around as well. So I'll take on this role as this character that wants to vaccinate. Anyway, just play, because play is really important. Now I feel a bit nervous because this is my first ever time stepping out. Adam's encouraged me to, be more of a pioneer instead of a backseat. And not that I've ever been a backseat. It's quite courageous to step out and say, this is who I am. So here I am embodying that courage, and let's see what comes.
Yeah, so I've been pushing my sister now for quite some time, because we've, from a young age, I can say from birth, we have shared the same information. Like when everything comes up in school, television, press, social media in our later days, because it wasn't there in our earlier days, she's another person on the other side of the world. We're both Australian born. She left Australia for a long time, came back, and then I left. So we seem to have like this thing happening where she'll be on one side of the world, and when she's not, I'll still be there. I just want to apologize for any noise you might hear in the background here, because I've got 3 cats that we found in our back shed when we moved onto our new property, and they're motherless cats, so they just run around, do as they want. You'll probably see them climbing up the curtains and pulling down towers of all sorts of things. So yeah, Kara, tell us, what are you feeling? Where are you at with what's progressing in the nature right now? What's your feelings about what's progressing in the captured nature right now, being like the collective that I was mentioning? What do you feel about what's happening in the world right now?
It's a big question. What do I feel? I can only go by what runs through my own veins, and because I'm very connected to the organic structure, I'm very excited about this time. I'm fucking excited, like I know exactly who I am, where I am, and why I am. And that's not in 100% completion. That's just understanding energy and understanding my connection and to the divine. backstory, I've devoted my life to the divine, like Adam. We've walked looking and searching truth, and like truth's my favorite thing in the world, and one of, but it encompasses all the other things that I love. So why I believe that I can accurately read in a very precise way what's going on energetically in the world, and how I can completely 100% trust what I'm reading, is that I've tried and tested and experienced and measured and searched and felt and experimented with all the energies, and I'm finding it hard to make such a big topic small. Like, how do you answer that in such a small way? I guess for me, the last piece of the puzzle for being able to truly be feeling so connected was alchemical astrology, not the astrology we were given, heliocentric astrology and all the other astrologies that have branched off. Alchemical astrology, I found not that long ago. I found astrology a long time ago, but alchemical astrology was the last piece. Yeah. So I'm just going in a bit of a loop with my nerves. So how can I expand on that?
Tell us a little bit more about alchemical astrology, sidereal astrology, Western astrology, horoscopes. Who created all of these magazine versions of the zodiac wheel? Why they did it? Go into a little bit of that. That would be a good one.
Well, I'm still such a student with this new knowledge of the true astrology, and I'm like not sure. I'd love to give names of these amazing people I follow that have helped, but I guess you guys can get in touch with Adam, and I just don't want to expose people if they don't want to be exposed. But pure geniuses. So yeah. What I have learned recently is heliocentric astrology was designed by them.
The Vatican.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So it was designed by them at the Vatican to get us distracted. So heliocentric astrology is basically that everything revolves around the sun. So understanding energy, the sun is a masculine force. So we're being led to have everything revolve around a masculine energy. Whereas true astrology, true alchemical astrology, is everything revolves around the earth, her energy. So we've been misled out of her sphere into his sphere. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's that part. And then they've also, interestingly, changed. So there's a wheel that goes like this in the sky. They've changed in our books the angle. Instead of a perfect, they've changed it to a slight 23.5 degrees. How they did that was, say, for example, I'm still learning all of this as well. For example, you've got the month of October. So that's the 10th month of the cycle. When actually, if you trace back etymology, oct means 8. So it's actually the 8th month. So we still have the information. It's the 8th month, October 8. But we're living on it's the 10th month. So that's where they altered, which means you go back, well, what's the first month? Because they still keep the knowledge because they're still connected, but they just altered our reality of it. So there's that. What else? Ask me another question.
Yeah, so we have the two truths running beside each other. The ultimate truth, which is intangible, non-changeable. And then we have the alternate truth, which has been altered. And so while a lot of people are running around saying things of the nature like what I believe is, and what scientific study has confirmed, what they don't realize is these people know that science has a lot of ultimatums, has a lot of ultimate truths. And they know, the hierarchy knows, the bringers of the platforms of truth bearers, they know that you can't mislead somebody or anybody unless you have some ultimate truths that are intangible, weaved throughout the ultimate truth. So what they've done is they've given a major amount of truth to the masses, but none of the truths that connect you to your ultimate self, in order to keep you in disorder. So they know what they're doing. And yeah, basically with heliocentric astrology, they've actually put people and binded them into hell. And what's actually happening right now is they are making a move, and they're putting people into lockdown because this is the time to make a move. And they know this. Nothing they've ever done has been by coincidence. Every single time Israel has gone into war, it has been on a blood moon. There's no coincidences there. So someone somewhere is sitting there and he's saying, now's the time, strike. Because if we as a collaborative awaken, that's bad news for them. So they know very well. So we go to university 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, depending on where you are, to study psychology, their psychology, Western psychology, but they have 6,000 years of information on how to dominate and keep people in suppression. And they're using these weapons, and you can't find how to escape this alternate reality, the altered reality, through going to psychology. And yeah, so I've always been really fortunate to have Kara, my sister, in the same inclination. We're different signs, but we see the signs. We see the falsities in science. Science is the Greek word for knowledge. So if you're going to hold this close, it better be real, authentic knowledge. And it's not. There are ultimate truths in there, do not get me wrong. However, most of the people who walk with the science mind, they are in a false illusion. And it's so easy to break free from it, because all you need to do, the only thing you need to do is you need to say, it's all bullshit, I'm going to step out. So you step out, and you do not step half out, you step fully out 100%, and you realize that it is all elusive. It is all illusion, all of it. So what they do not want people to know, the number one thing is astrology, true astrology. You think all these people were thrown in the Inquisition fires and put into holes and burnt and put onto the candles and burnt with tar, like called Roman candles. Like, we name fireworks after these things today. Like, you can go buy a Roman candle, but they were the people who knew astrology, and they were put in the town, covered in tar, and they were lit on fire so that everyone could see, if you talk this knowledge publicly and openly, you will be burned. I'm still standing. For how long, I don't know. But I'm living my truth, and that's the main thing. Because if you're not living your authentic truth, where are you? Where are you going? It's not looking good. Yeah, it's a sad reality that, you know, like, a lot of people are in relationships where they've got an ultimate truth and they are captured with someone that says, I don't. Like, one of my longest relationships, she said to me once, you believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe what I want to believe. And I'm all for that, but that's not my aligned path. I want to be walking the path with someone like who I am, that knows the truth, that sees the truth, and they feel the truth all throughout their paradigms. And yeah. So there's a difference as well between astrology and astronomy. Astronomy, no me, non-inclusive. So astronomy is non-inclusive of the being. Astrology is fully inclusive of the being, because you are at the center of that chart. And chart as in heart, because your heart is in the center. If you look at the word earth, earth is an anagram of the word heart, because earth to the ancient people was the center of all of existence in the cosmological wheel, the zodiac. Zodiac actually means wheel, and it's the spinning wheel. It spins and it's infinite and it's never changing. So that's why I can step outside on this date, and next year the stars will come to the same point again. There's nothing new under the sun. That saying came from truth. And so, yeah, basically the heart is the center of the body, and they knew this. And if you look at the etymology, the history of the word heart, it actually means the center of. Hence why when we say things like the heart of Africa, you're referring to the center region of Africa. The heart of is the center. It's the meridian center point of our body, and it is what connects to the earth. So I feel like we have to ask questions like why all of these animals that we see ourselves superior to, they are inferior to us, why they are the ones that run from earthquakes 10 minutes before they happen. We know this happens. We know that all of the animals in the Animalia kingdom, they're all responsive to things before they happen. One thing else I want to say, the Psychic Research Society of America in the 1980s, I think it was 1984, they hooked up a series of subjects between the age of 16 and 80, and they projected a group of imagery to these people. And they had their hearts hooked up to the machines. And what they were finding, what they were actually doing was they were projecting images of beautiful photos of families, cats dead in the gutter, people body piled in holocausts. And there was a different energy response to the images that they'd put out to the subjects. And what they actually discovered, this is no discovery, this is something we always knew and always held. What they discovered was that every single person's heart responded in the exact way of trauma before even seeing the image. So the heart actually was responding 3 seconds before the image came up on the screen of that feeling of the image. So before the photo of the family came up, beautiful family photo, people started to feel really relaxed. And then the image flashed. Before the photo of the cat in the gutter came up, the heart started responding in traumatic circumstance. So we know that the heart is predictive. We know that you can call it intuition if you like. You can call it whatever you want, but there is a thing, and it is the truth, and it rings like a bell inside of you. That's why they ring the bells from the cathedrals, because it puts out a certain resonance and it goes throughout the entire town. They know what they're doing. Anyways, yeah, just like talking about some really important things. A lot of the things are, little dots to other pieces, other people's worlds, little pieces that they can pick up to put into their puzzle. It's interesting, like even a basic research of witchcraft shows that in the 16th century and even prior to that, the black magi's and the black witches, they would ring the bells in sets of three times. We can see the number 33 in there, but what they were doing was they were projecting certain vibrations in 3 sets of octaves 3 times. And you might think like, oh, there's the church is on, like that it's 12 o'clock or it's 3 o'clock or whatever it is. Like that's the time they ring the bells. They know what time things are happening astrologically, and they push that resonance out to keep that vibration under the vibration of the bell. And everyone's under that. Hence why we're feeling under the weather, because you're never on top of the weather. We're always under the weather. The weather occurs above us. And if you look at the word weather, it is we at her, because we are her. We are infinitely her, and everybody has the ability to connect to that. What do you have to say about that?
I just wanted to add to that. I learned something recently too, by these people that I've been following. So we've got all over the news, TV, magazines, everywhere through this COVID experience. There's a catchphrase.
COVID.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
oh yeah, the covert operation of COVID-19. Fuck, you just lost my thinking.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh, that's right. So you see it everywhere. There's this slogan: "We're in this together. We're in this together." And there's a lot of people that go, "Oh, we're in this together. We're in this together." And they're all running around like, "Well, you got to do your mask thing because we're in this together," or "You got to go and get your vaccine because we're in this together." And there's a lot of that, and you see it, and you know, we're all seeing it. So there's that, and I just discovered, as I understand, you know, that everything, every single thing that we see through the television, the newspapers, media, everywhere, every single thing is programmed and controlled and thoroughly articulated. There's no accident. You know, the cat story at the end. Oh, that's really nice. That's not an accident. None of what you see or read is an accident. So there's that. So there's no accident. So then what does that mean? So there's an agenda. Oh, okay. None of their agenda resonates with mine, but they're saying we're in this together. That doesn't make sense because I'm all about together. I'm totally all about being one. Like fully connecting is my favorite thing in the world to do. Fully let me see your soul. Let's just share it and let's fully ride, you know? So it doesn't resonate. This in this together. I'm like, what? Well, hang on. What do you mean in this together? I don't want to be shooting up vaccines. Like that's not together for me, but you're telling me we're in this together. So I can see how it might be confusing. Not so confusing to me because I've been on this thread for a while, but I can understand the confusion. So anyway, going on, in this together, what does that mean? What does that mean? Why would you say it if it doesn't resonate? And it's like, well, together and together. And someone who had walked before me is walking before me, has found more information, had said, actually, there's a ritual being performed right now, huge ritual being performed, and they're in it to get her, to get her.
Yep.
They're all in this to get her. So then I was like, wow, no wonder I don't relate because I am her. I'm all about her. Hello. She's her too. I'm all about her. So they're out to get me. What does that even mean? To get her. They want to get her. I'm her. Well, hang on. Not looking good. So I came to learn, joining dots, alchemical astrology, last dot joining part for me. They're in this to get her. Her is the earth. Cool. I can figure that out because the earth's her and mother and feminine. Okay, cool. All right. Got that bit. I know they're not really a fan of the earth. They're doing all this making babies and cells and fake everything and men as women and all of this. So not really that keen on the woman. So yeah, all right, I can follow that thread. Next is I'm now going a bit, I hope it's just tangenting. So ever since I was a little girl, I was deeply committed to the earth, like just felt her, was her, am her, devoted to her, fuck everything else. Like she's like amazing. Why would I commit to something else? Cried for her, grieved for her, grieved like there's no tomorrow for her, felt like every suffering of hers. I'm feeling it all through my veins, you know. Yep. Whilst people saying, lighten up, don't be so sensitive. Strange. So yeah, moving on. I just have this giant thing inside me as I want her free. Like I want her free. And they're in this to get her, but then I'm wanting her free. That's interesting. So I guess where I'm kind of trying to pull back from and like kind of come and get to a final point of that is everything's a fucking ritual that they do. Every single thing is a ritual that they do. And if it doesn't resonate with me, then that's very indicative of something not good going down. That's my tangent.
Yep. I saw a statue in Brisbane City. So first, let's look at the word Brisbane. It's bris, which is what the child goes through in Judaism to become a man. And bris, bane. Bane means to banish. So Brisbane, actually means to stop a man going through to manhood. And if you look at the slogan for Brisbane City, it is the new world city of Australia. It's written in all the buses. It's written on all the entry signs as you're going into the city. Australia's new world city. I saw this 10 years ago. This is not an old sign. I've seen other signs as well, like the most livable city in the world. I've seen that in many cities. Like there's no city that's the most livable city in the world. Nothing in cities is livable. It's livable. It's very non-lively. And there was a statue in the New World City of Bane the Brisbane, and it's a dog with a square cut out, and his heart is missing. And so what we need to understand is dog Latin is the language that is occurring in courtrooms of the world, of the magistrates. And what that means is that there's seemingly English being spoken in the common law courts. What's actually happening is there's a second language that's occurring at the same time. We're talking about those two truths running beside each other. It is everywhere. Mm-hmm. So interesting that the dog would have no heart, because to have such an agenda, to remove the hearts of women and men, you must be heartless yourself, because that heart keeps us all in resonance. I'm in alienawareness.com or like I'm just not into any bullshit when it comes to the truth. And yeah, like
I'm gonna sip a tea to that. Here. No bullshit.
Yeah. But bullshit's really good, you know, like bullshit actually like brings the soil to fertility.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of bullshit we're talking about is where we're at as a collaborative. And anyways, like I lost my thought because this sign came up on the computer saying that my internet status was unstable, but I feel pretty stable. My internet feels pretty stable. I don't know why it's saying that. Anyways, so yeah, so like it's no question to me that what's occurring in the common law courts has captured people. It's caught people. It's all about courtship. We've got to question why the judges wear what they wear. They're wearing their black robes with their Pharisee wigs. Those wigs that the judges wear, that goes back to ancient Egypt, because their rights of power into pharaohhood, they were given the female hairdresser that granted them power of woman equal to that of woman, because they have the knowledge. They knew that woman was at the top of the Trinity. That's why in the symbol of the Ankh in Kemet, what white people call Egypt, what we've been made to call Egypt, that symbol of the Ankh is the masculine at the bottom, the child in the middle, and the loop is the womb of the woman, which connects all of it together, which is at the top. Hence why Isis was doing such rituals, because she was at the top. Hence why the judges wear those wigs, because they are of the nobility of black magic. They're the black noble ones, and they're the ones that are doing all of this. You think that they are there protecting who's in and who's out. What's happening is far deeper than what most people can conjure to imagine. Speaking of the word imagine, that's the most important thing. This is part of our intuition. Imagine has the word mage in it. It is magic. And if you tell your child to stop daydreaming, you're part of the problem, because no man or woman should ever stop daydreaming, because it connects to the night dreaming. They're very different worlds to each other. And you can be in a state of receive and download at every moment. The scientific community has already said decades ago that when you sleep, there's these waves going out and these waves coming in. Where? Coming in where? Like in my fingernails, and then they store there. Like, how do I feel it? What's happening is we are receivers and we are transmitters. What I was about to say before the internet's message of instability came up was, I'm in no means someone who goes onto the internet and finds out some bullshit and then starts talking about it. I have to be like 100% sure, 100%, not 99%, because there's a 1% chance I'll look like a fool.
Me too.
Anyways, like I saw another study that was conducted by the Psychic Research Society of America in the early 90s. And what they did was they got another group of subjects and they put all the candidates on either side of the doors from each other, and they had these wave scale readers where they could actually read the pulses and vibrations in the room. And every time you would open the door, that heart, the actual heart itself, projected a light wave from heart to heart. So how do we feel something when we feel it? When we walk, like the amount of times I've walked into a room of people and I've been there for a minute and I'm fucking out of there because I don't like the energy of any of these people. And how many times do we feel these things? What is that? What is this when you get in, like, he didn't say anything. It's not the way he looked at you, like he just felt what was going on. We are these people. We're the people of spirit, and we are the people of greater knowledge. And we have the capacity to rise to our highest selves. And that is what now is all about. If you're in a relationship with somebody that you don't feel most suits your life, grounding you into what you've come to do, it's time to reassess where we're at. If you are in a friendship of the same means, it's time to assess what that actually means in our life. If we're in a family relation where things are always heated, it's time to step away. There's so much that brings us into being when we do such things. Like me personally, I've gone down to riverbeds and I've cut so many big dead trees out of riverbeds, and I know what happens next. The new life comes to be. So I just want to like say with that message, like, don't be shy that you might be lonely, because only by making such maneuvers, that's where we get put into our next place. You know, like we need to act. A lot of people sit at home and they pray. Doesn't matter what religious sanction you're from. That's a great thing, but you have to act. For example, you can't just sit at home, light a candle and set. Speaking of candles, this one just dropped. You can't just sit at home and light a candle and set an intention for all these great things to come. You have to go out and act. It's always, everything's dualistic. You have to act, and the universe acts in accordance with your actions. That's why it's universe, because it's you and I. That's in the word. And a verse is a song. So it's you and I, uni, one. You and I, one. Verse is a song. So we're all living in the song. We're all living in life, but where are we in the song? Because, you know, when you're playing a record and some part of it just sounds so horrible, or you're listening to the radio station and you just really don't feel it, you skip it. Why don't people do this in their life? Why don't people like scan for something else instead of like scanning on the radio? Scan your life, like just scan, it comes. Everything that you do, you can't just sit at home and be like, oh, he treats me like shit and I can't do any better. You're not going to do any better. You need to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people in this crisis right now don't want to be alone. Now is the time to do that, because that's what's actually happening in the world right now. We've been given an opportunity to awaken.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a message of scripture, even though it's written in there because the black magicians wrote it in there. This is a message of the heart. This is a message of truth, and it comes to everyone that's open to know it. And I bet you people are going to listen to this right now and be like, I feel that, brother. Like, I feel that, because it's the truth. Like, and I know when someone's bullshitting me. Like, I've spent my whole life going, bullshitter, bullshitter, truth, truth, collect the truth, and I'll move. Like I've got so many people in my life that are like full truth, like full, like they're dishonored by anything that's not of the content of purity, because that's truth. Like impurity is non-truth. Living a lie, impurity. I am so pure that I have the ability to be a spiritual warrior, which means like personally for me, like I wouldn't mess with me because I don't have time for that. But a lot of people, you can just sit there and walk all over because they haven't lived the life of purity. The more pure you are, the more you can dominate anything that comes into your energy field and like not necessarily destroy it, but move away from it. And that's why all these people came out of the jungles over the last 300 years with their spears against the missiles, because they knew that that spear was connected straight to the heart, and you couldn't battle that, because that spirit that came with it is the most mightiest force that comes against any message written on a missile dropped on any land.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So the Saturn Jupiter conjunction's coming up, and it's all over Facebook, everywhere. Everyone knows about it, which is fascinating and interesting and scary and strange and a bit eerie at the same time, but everyone's aware. So we all know, I mean, everyone, I mean, that's a bit extreme, but we all know something, because every through my Facebook, Saturn Jupiter, every new age group, Saturn Jupiter, aliens, Saturn Jupiter, because I like to follow all the different threads, you know.
I've got a lot of alien star seeds and like aliens have been here before pages just to see where people are at.
Yeah.
So I feel what you're saying there.
Yeah. So what does that actually mean when Jupiter and Saturn conjunct, you know, like how many people actually know what that means? Or do we all just run around and go, oh, it's something cool, apparently someone told me we're all waking up, so let's go, and oh, we're going to meditate, and that's amazing, you know, like that stuff really.
Check it out, that dot in the sky, see that, bro? All right, let's go back inside and play cards.
Yeah. All of it. So for me, what does Saturn Jupiter conjunction mean for me? It means I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling very excited. To explain more, like I don't know everything. I'm not coming here claiming like I know, but I know enough to help me see enough and help me stay always pure, true, on path. So what I've come to learn is Saturn. Let's talk about Saturn. Saturn very strongly linked to its name, Satan. It's interesting. Saturn, Santa sounds interesting. That's interesting. Because etymology is king, you know.
Sixth planet from the sun, sixth largest planet, sixth day of the week, six wherever you want to put it. It's not a demonic number, but yeah, sorry, continue.
So, yeah, good points in. So yeah, Saturn. So then you look at history, you know, we know that there was an Inquisition and everything got altered, and you know, I don't need to explain that if you're following Adam's page. And so Saturn had a name change. His name used to be Kronos. His name is Kronos. One of his names is Kronos, but we don't know him by that. We got taught Saturn. So what does Kronos mean? What is Kronos? Kronos is the crown. Kronos is, you know, that part, the corona. Kronos is time. Kronos is karma, almost karma, but karma is such a word that's also like another dirty word that's like flung around in the new age cage community. Bless them. Karma. What I do has a consequence. What I touch has a consequence. Cause and effect, you know, like what I put out, I receive. How I treat you, it's stored up in my soul. Everything, it's recorded. Saturn's also a record keeper because he's time. So that keeps record. So
chronological,
chronological, yeah, the order. Boundaries. He's all about boundaries. This is the boundaries. Saturn, Kronos. Just getting a bit lost. Yeah, time. chronological. Just got a bit lost.
Time of Jupiter.
Oh yeah, so then back to Jupiter. So there's Saturn. Yeah, so Saturn. That's Kronos. So Kronos and Jupiter. Like, let's just do that so we know Kronos has more of a truer link to his identity than Saturn. Because what does Saturn? Like, Saturn doesn't mean time. Saturn doesn't mean all these words. It's just a shit word they've put on it, so we all fucking spin out. And they did a good job of that. So Jupiter. Jupiter. So there's a, again, the words Jupiter. So you've get the word Jew in Jupiter. Jupiter. Peter. Anyway, I'm just going around in my mind. So what I come to learn was all them, the Vatican, the Black Magi. I actually want to call them, what do I call them? So I never call them something, it's always them.
They.
Just like the weak and deceivers, like they're weak because they use our power against us. They've got no power. Like, they're not connected. They're not truly connected. So they cannot, they have no power. And until we learn that, so they're just like these weak deceivers, with respect, because I still love them. They don't know what they do. They do, but they don't, because they wouldn't if they did. So Jupiter. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter rules expansion. Jupiter's like the school of thought. So if you go to university, it's very Jupiterian. If you expand your mind, go to the higher, not necessarily the higher realms, but expanding consciousness, not necessarily dimensional consciousness, but consciousness is in, giving yourself more wisdom, putting more pieces in the puzzle there, not necessarily like intergalactic, but just feeding the brain. So that's Jupiter kind of has authority there. Jupiter is, I'm just getting quite mind blanked and I'm going to try and bring it back. So that's Jupiter. So anyway, what I've learned is those weak deceivers, they actually are very much aligned to Jupiterian energies, Jupiterian schools of thought. So another name for Jupiter back in the day was Mystari. So all the mystery schools come from Jupiter. All the energy is from Jupiter. So all those hidden schools, the occults, brotherhoods that we know of, that we've researched and we hear about, that's all Jupiterian energy. It's a lot to it because you've also got Mars energy, very Martian. Mars, martial law. Mars is Aries. Oh my God, I could just go on so many tangents.
God of War.
Yeah.
Hence martial law.
But back to the Jupiter Saturn. So they've deceived us about Saturn. They're pretty connected to Jupiter. Why deceive us about Saturn? What's so important about Saturn that you want to change out of all of them his identity? That's really interesting. That's pretty standout to me. So here we are. We've got the crown, which I'm fucking like, I'm owning my crown. My crown is like my gift. It's my divinity. It's everything that I am here to fully, it's like my manna. Someone mentioned that. I was talking to a Christian. It's like we get our daily bread, and this is my daily bread, like what comes through my crown is for me, like my sovereignty, my royalty, my divinity. It comes through here. So if I'm accessing through here, that's something obviously very important. My crown is a key player to receiving. They want to disconnect that, right? Backstory. So they're meeting in Saturn's home. I call him Saturn, whatever. They're meeting at his home for the first time in a long time, because they'll meet every 20 years. And they know this because then every 20 years is when they change the script. So what happened 20 years ago? I think it was September 11, which was actually, it wasn't 9/11, it was 7/11. It's interesting, 7/11, all those shops that pop up, it's that ritual number, 7/11. They told us it's 9/11 because we know that September is not actually 9, it's 7/11. So that happened 20 years ago. So this is happening 20 years later, another time to change the script. But Saturn's home, so he has authority. He's like, can't fuck with that shit. So yeah, that's why I'm excited, because I understand the stars. I understand who really is coming home and what that means, and I understand why like Jupiter is favored. If you have a look at the Paris, I don't know if you can't pull pictures up here. If you pull up the Paris Olympics in 2024, it's actually the symbol of Jupiter, the alchemical symbol of Jupiter. So if you go and look up that symbol, now tell me why. Like, why do we need Jupiter's symbol there in the 2024? Just to reinforce his rule, reinforce that authority, like, because it's not, and also what I know, because there's so much to say. I've had visions since I was a small child, been shown this whole script and followed it, devoted blindly, joining all sorts of different things to get to where I am, and thank God I did. But what I do know is what's happening now when they meet, as they're meeting, and so many other things happening in the sky. Like there's so many things. It's the end of like a Rahu Ketu cycle, 18, 19 year cycle. So that means, I'm not going to go into that. That's another thing. So many things happening astrological in the sky. So that's happening. My vision has always been this separation will happen. It's like mitosis, if you know about cell division. It's like these two worlds are now starting to actually become separated, organically happening. Some will go here, some will go here. And I keep thinking mitosis, cell division, still dot joining so much of that stuff. But I know that is because I trust all the information that I receive, because I've tried and tested it. And I know it's divine, because I know who I am, what I am, and all that jazz, and people always go, where did you find that out? It's like, how do you answer that? Like, how do you answer that to someone that finds everything out from their teacher, from the doctor? Like, I found it out from my soul, like the whole Trump thing that was going down and everyone was Trump. And I just went in and I was just like, I need to see this whole picture here. People are like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I just know my soul tells me everything. Shame that it's not the same for you guys, but it is what it is, and the whole thing's divine. I run around trying to wake people up. I spent my life trying to wake people up, and even though I was always told through spirit that it was kind of a fruitless activity, but it kept me entertained, I suppose. My job was actually, as I narrow through back to my real true path, is to help the sleeping lions. I read this quote and I thought, fuck yeah, that's so true. I'm not here to wake up the sheep. What a shit name. I hate it. Just those that don't have the fever for the truth. I'm not here to give them the fever. I'm like, they just don't have it. I'm here for the ones that have the fever, that have like been brainwashed or still got a spell or still kind of playing out something. I'm here to go, hang on, fuck, I see you've got that. I know you know me, and blah, blah, blah. And let's shake this up and set you free. And that's why I'm here. And that's it. And yeah.
Beautiful. And I want to talk about bringing people home. Speaking of waking people up, because you're not waking them up literally, like you're waking them up to take them somewhere, like taking them home. Like I want to talk about bringing people home through astrology. Like, what can you say? Because I know there's a lot of people that listen to what I have to say that are like, yeah, one day I'll look into it. Like I've got a friend that maybe I'll go over there for a cup of tea one day. They never go over there for a cup of tea. Like, who knows what the story is? And they never find that way. So I know a lot of people that are screaming internally for the truth, and they don't have that connection with where they are at this point in life, where they came from, who they are to be. What can you say about how to sort of become engaged in that zodiac knowledge?
I think if you really do want, if you do trust me when I say that alchemical astrology is king, it was what was robbed from us. Because if you think about it, when the Catholics in Arms, the CIA came.
That's what it's really called.
Yeah, when they came, Catholics in Action, Catholics in Arms, and then they changed it to some other crap.
Central Intelligence Agency.
fucking some shit. But when they came, they took astrology. They took our blueprint, because I learned from Adam. Actually, you told me that you were talking to an elder and they were talking about how everything in your hand lines to the stars, it links to the stars. So being this keen astrologer, research, whatever, I started looking at palmistry and started looking at astrology and saw exactly that. Like our hand is the sky, hand, sky, all connected, and it 100%, like it's flawless now. I fully 100% can confirm that. So in answer to that is, so there's one thing that took astrology, so that must mean something, you know, like there's a key. So there, you know, like for those that are wondering, like, well, you know, there's that part of the information. For the second, I'm fortunate that I've always known seek and you shall find. Like I ask, I get, I ask, I get, I ask. I don't get it straight away, but I get. So, and I'm discerning. And because I really want to know the truth, I discern with the truth, you know, like you can, for more truth to come in. So, all right, I don't know about astrology. I've heard about, I don't know, Aries, and maybe I'm a Pisces, but what does that mean? And where do you start and who do you follow? And this is where you go, okay, well, what does it mean to me? What is my belief systems around astrology? What do I need to move away to bring in for the new? You know, like, do I think everything revolves around the sun? That's cool if you do. I'm not saying that it's, you know, don't do that, but just really have a look at your belief systems around it. And then if you're really serious about exploring your own zodiac and your own true blueprint, you know, I can help and link you up. There's always people. There's always someone. Like there's never, like, especially in this time, like, I guess, oh my God, this is really strong. All I want to say is that she wants as many of us with her. So if you're asking, she's just going to give it to you. Like she just wants to get you. She is in Mother Earth. I don't know how else to call her, but she wants to give you the information. It's there. So if you kind of say, I can't find it, I'd just be like, well, what are you doing? Yeah.
But isn't it just a rock we're living on? Isn't it just like a rock where you can like blow it up and take some stuff from it? Like, what do you reckon? What's your opinion on that?
We're spinning in space, apparently. Apparently there was a bang. I'm trying to remember the bang.
Hang on.
Interesting, the
It
big
rings
bang.
a bell.
Isn't that interesting?
How big was it? How big was it? Because if there was nothing and it went bang, like how little was nothing and how big was the bang?
Well, do you know what I thought was interesting? The other day I realized the big bang. To think about it, when you're talking about having sex with someone, you know, in that derogatory way, I banged her. Did you bang him?
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah.
So there's a clue. We came from this sexual energy, you know, like we came. And I mean, we didn't come from this big bang that where this space collided and helium went here and fucking then we created carbon and all this. Like, I don't think that, like, you know, I had to go to uni and Darwinism was huge in uni, and just hearing that we come from slugs in the sea and then we all fucking started to like adapt, and you know, it breaks my heart, that story. It's like, no, we fucking didn't. We're divine.
The reason why I don't have photos of my great grandma is because she was a lizard living in the water. I couldn't just take a photo of her underwater. Bloody idiot. But I got a photo of my great grandma. She was a monkey.
We come from the apes, and I always think, well, where's the transition one? Like I always see the ape and the human, but why don't you ever see the transition people walking around? Like that's a bit strange.
We came from lizards, then we became T-Rex.
Yeah.
Then T-Rex went vegan, and then T-Rex broke veganism, and then we turned into a monkey, or was it an ape? It was an ape, and now we are. So there's no questions here. Yeah, it's all fucking bullshit. I don't call it Darwin. I call it Dar-lose, because you are losing if you follow that order of Charles Darwin. If you don't know who Charles Darwin's father was, jump over the bridge, not off the bridge. Like, get over the other side and come back when you're ready, because, He
But
figured out the whole universe. He went and studied finches, tortoises, and beetles on Madagascar Island. Now we have the key to the universe, and you can put that shit on in 3 seconds on what's that television show called? Big Bang Theory. In the first 3 seconds of the television series, you figure out the whole code of the universe because they write it up on the board, but it's all bullshit, all of it. Sorry, keep going.
no, I wasn't really. I'm thinking about your question, like people that
How to
kind of,
bring people home.
yeah, it's like, I also want to say some part of my journey is definitely the feminine story of the journey. I was definitely crushed as a feminine, I embodied that destruction and I rose because I'm fucking ghetto. But in that, like, I know because I've walked that path and I've walked a pretty heinous path to get here. I know that in any moment, no matter where I was, and not because I'm like this amazing being that's divine, because we all are. We all have the same calculators. We all have the same compass. We all have the same tools. We all are one. We all are the same. Just some of us have followed Darwinism, and some of us went, why Darwinism? And that's only the only difference. That's the only difference. It's not like some enlightened soul has come here because they're from this galactic fucking Pleiades or something. That's a lie. Like, we just follow different threads. And I firmly, strongly believe that. So path of love is mine, just compassion and love and, devotion and whatever. So coming through that, I believe that if your heart so wants freedom, then you will have freedom. If your heart wants truth, then it will have truth. You have to be patient because it took you some time to bind yourself up, and it's going to maybe take you some time to unbind. Although trust, because it's abundant. Like, it's like a fruit tree. She keeps giving. She might bear like a couple of fruits, but this tree is just designed to give. And she's like, that fruit tree is the symbol of her. Like, ask, you'll receive. And for me, that's how she's always worked. And you see those people that kind of really pray when things are going bad, and then all of a sudden it just works, but then they don't really pray again. But you see that power harnessed, they're asking for it, it's coming. I mean, all that intention. So it's that simple. But then it's also not, because we've all been binded by all these different layers, every opportunity to just hack in at our own like wiring setup. So it's simple because it is simple, but it's confusing because of all that, So there's no shame in, like, I've been lost in so many different little traps they've set up for me, but there's no shame in that, because I just kept like going, all right, let's go, next one, all right, yep, okay, let's just keep going. Like, no, you're not going to stop me. And here I am, and I'm just like, thank God I kept going. And it's like I'm starting to fully birth out of this, that yucky stuff, those things they kept us here. And we're all kind of moving through that in together, and we're all talking about how we're experiencing that all at once. It's no accident. Like, this is no accident. Yeah. Go on. What do you got to say? I'm hot.
Yeah.
I'm getting sweaty and hot.
Yeah, it's it's snowing here, so don't have much to say to that. Yeah, it's like, nothing stops us, because the truth is like an onion. Because when you peel the first layer of the onion, you still have a whole new onion underneath it, which is another layer of truth. And you want to know what's under that other skin. You're like, I've broken through the first layer, and you go straight through that other layer, thinking that you know the truth. You get to the other inner core of the onion, and it's still the same. It's still the truth. It's the onion. It's always going to be the onion. You can't change that. And so, yeah, you can get to the core of the onion and be like, well, I don't know, but we know what to do with that, because everything around us forms different layers to part of that onion. So yeah, just shedding off that skin is really important to, like you say, they've binded us, That's what the word religion means. Religion comes from the Latin word religere, which means to bind or to tie down. So what they've actually done is they haven't awoken people. They've binded them, they've tied them down, and they've kept that school of thought into their collective. And people say, I had this guy come to my house one day when I was selling plants, and he was a very interesting character. He was from Pakistan, and he was of the Islamic faith. And I started talking about all this stuff to him, and I knew his energy. He knew some truth. Like I could just feel it. And I was dealing with some other people, selling them some plants, and then he was just standing across out the front by the river of my old house, and I felt this energy anyway. So we started talking about his tradition of faith, and I asked him, I said, like, you know, at the end of the conversation, I said, there will come a day, according to your doctrine, where you must fight for Allah. I don't follow him directly. I don't follow it directly. Would you kill me, brother? He said, no. I knew that I already knew that it doesn't matter what faith you're in, whatever belief you hold, you can't take me away from the fact that we are inherently and very capably able to come back to the unison of unity. And like I can speak any doctrine, because I believe that there is absolutely something that is a creative, generative force above me. All those doctrines hold that knowledge. There's not one that doesn't hold a knowledge that there is something that supersedes me on a major level. And so,
can I just
yeah,
say,
like I've
you just saying that word doctrine. I remember you did a post about that, what it actually means. Do you want to just re-highlight that?
Well, like when you when you dock your dog's tail, you're cutting it off. When the ship docks, it's the end of the path. It's cut off from further destiny. The doctor, so doctor, tor is the torus field. It's the torso. It's where the torus field emanates from the core of our stomach. And so you have doctor, which is to cut off from the torso, because he's the one that cuts the baby from the mother, from the placenta, from their capacity to breathe. Like, so doctrine, like, you've got many terminologies in astrology. Trine is one of them. It's a relativeness between the planets. So doctrine is to cut off the planets from the people. Like, the word is actually written. Like language itself, like, you have to look at what the closest words to other words are within the doctrine of languages. So language is the closest word to language in English vocabulary, and language means to become weakened in. When you speak language that they've created, you are weakened in your knowledge, because they created that language to keep you locked in a box. I've met a lot of people that say, you've got to go to India to experience India, but no, you don't. You need to speak Indian to experience India, because the actual paradigm, the way of thinking, is in the language. It's land, gauge, language, land gauge. You're gauging the land because the land stores all the information. It still grows all the plants. You're gauging the land through the language. You can't gauge a culture without the language. So unless you understand the secrets and the codes embedded into their magic spells, because it's spelling. That's why it's called spelling, because it's spellcraft. That's why it's called sentences, because you're sentencing people by using them. That's why it's called cursive writing, because you're cursing people. And I mean, like, that's not my opinion, because I understand words. If you don't understand that's the truth, you need to understand that that's the truth before you even go in to understand what astrology is. Because if you don't understand how they've locked us and binded us and tied us down through land gauge, then I don't know how to further explain to people how to get out of that box, because you need to go, government in Latin means to control the mind. My fucking God, it makes sense. They're controlling our minds, guys. Like, guys, they're controlling our minds. Like, come on, let's get out of here. So unless you know these things, if you don't know that entertainment comes from the Latin entertainmentus, which means to enter and to occupy the mind, then you don't know that it's entertainment. You don't know that they're entering and they're occupying your mind through external sources. The easiest way to cast a spell is when someone's not watching. And I know that. That's what they're doing, because no one's watching. No one's eyes locked on the target and saying, all right, there they're going now. They just got off the plane. They fucking got their wand and here they come. Like, no one's watching. Everyone's watching television. Seriously. And people wonder what the Pope's doing when he gets off the plane and kisses the ground. He's blessing the land. This is magic craft that goes back to fucking 3,000 years ago, when Nimrod was going into other empires and they'd kiss the ground when they conquered it. Make no mistake. Like, this is anyways. So yeah, doctrine is to cut off the person from the truth. Astrology being the truth. It is the number one truth. Astrology is the mother of all sciences. Hippocrates, the father of Western medicine, he said, he who calls himself a physician with no knowledge of the stars has no right to call himself a physician at all. So he's saying, if you don't understand where Mars is right now, and this person's got a liver problem and you're trying to diagnose this, if you don't understand Mars and medical astrology that governs the liver, then you can't diagnose, because you don't know what transit Mars is in. So you are not a doctor. I know doctors, and I know what they do. Like, if you go to the doctor, they'll say, come back, we'll give you the results. They've done their research on Google, and they've got like their little portals from their universities that the doctors have, like these portals, they call them portals. And so yeah, if we I'll tell you one thing, all of the hospitals and mental health workers in Australia, they use a program, they timestamp their thumb. So when they come on their shift, when they come onto their shift at the start of their working cycle, they have to thumbprint their self into a program called Chronos. Every single state. So if you work in a hospital, you know this in Australia, and you're probably thinking, oh my God, like, but what does it mean? Well, refer to the start of this video, because these people are astrologers. There is nothing about Lucis Trust or the people who brought us our doctrines in school that are not astrological. Everything they do is astrological. JP Morgan, he founded the World Federal Banks with the Rockefellers, and they said millionaires don't rely on astrology, billionaires do. What does that mean? I know what it means. Like, you know what it means? Come on, guys, let's get out of here. Let's go this way.
I'm just aware. I don't know how long we've been recording for. I'm just thinking we could easily do a 7,000-hour video, Adam.
Yeah, well, let's do 50 of them, and we'll wrap it up. Yeah, like I just wanted to like talk a bit about like just very quickly, just talking about the signs of the zodiac. I want, like, you see a lot of people that are like, oh, my star sign is explained here, and they put one reference. So I want to just explain, like, talking about the destruction of the divine feminine. Every time you say to someone, I'm an Aries, or I'm a Sagittarius, or I'm a Taurus, I'm a Virgo, whatever one sign you give, that is your sun sign. That makes up your physiology, your physical aspects. I already know that. There's books even written how you can study people's sun sign off their face, because it's physical. It's a physical terminology. It's a physical aspect science. But what they're not saying is what their moon sign is. And this is what people were doing for thousands of years. So what is your emotional body? What is your, what makes up everything about your creative music, art? I just want to like touch on very quickly about that, because that's so important. The moon aspect to me, like I'm more interested in the moon aspect. There's all the other aspects, but I'm more interested in the moon aspect as opposed to the sun sign aspect. Like, what do you have to say about that?
So yeah, what kind of deterred me from astrology was like hearing, I was a sun sign, and you'd read it in the papers and the sun sign, and you're going to have a good day today, and great, I'm going to have a good day. Or the sun sign would be like, oh, be really careful of leaving the house today, and you'd be like, oh, all right, shit, they're telling me. So there was that was my exposure to sun signs, and I kind of was like, you can't resonate with it, so I couldn't adopt it as something worth investing in. But it was so it was my first ever San Pedro experience. I haven't taken heaps amounts, but I'd taken them a few times, and I just remember looking up at the sky and just going, it's true, everything is in the stars, and I could see everything line up. Now, I didn't investigate further, but because I was on just this journey where I was like, wow, cool, oh, that's that, oh yeah, wow, oh, that's nice, oh wow, oh, love, so that was my first strong pull that there was more to just the sun sign in the paper. But I still didn't really investigate. I was just kind of take note of that. It wasn't for me yet. I came across 4 years ago the idea of a moon sign. I was like, oh, what's your sun sign this? What's your moon sign? I don't know. You don't know your moon sign? No. Oh, well, what's that? Well, your moon sign is your emotional nature. So your sun sign's kind of like your tools of like how you get out in the world, like how you deal with life, how you express. But your moon is your emotional expression, is more who your family see. It's more who you are, in your intimate settings. It's that raw part of self, and you're expressing. So I was like, oh, I like that, because I've never just identified as one. Like I identify as like, okay, yeah, cool, because I do have that, but there's a part of me that's fully very reserved, but then that part of me is very expressive, and well, that's interesting. Okay, so there might be more to it. So I started to look further into it, and I did my own chart, and I was like, wow. And then so I'm at uni at the time, and I started doing the charts of everyone around me, and everyone was just like, wow. And I was like, does it resonate? And it was just like trial and error. I was like, yeah, totally. Oh my God. And then I started seeing correlation. I started looking at this wheel and being like, oh my God. And I'd be like seeing similar things, themes in people's charts. And so then I'd start asking questions. Did you experience this? Yeah. And you did? Yeah. Wow. So there is like a code here. There's something in this. And then the fever, like that started taking me. And then I was on a journey. And thank God I found, that was heliocentric astrology. And that was the key. That's how I was always going to come to find the true path. Because it's really hard to find the true path amongst all the shit, so I just grabbed that and just keep following, trusting myself that I was always going to find what I needed. That's important. That's a good key to finding the truth, is trusting yourself, going, because there's a lot of deception, like just imagine there's voices at every opportunity trying to go, not that way, not that way, not that way, not that way. And you're there going, I'm going here, so that trust is really important, which has helped me get to understand sidereal astrology, a very different, very similar, all very similar, but just that access is not so, there's no more deception. It's just the divine blueprint. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. And just another thing, I just noticed this hasn't even been recording. Just joking.
You're such a fuckwit.
No, just another thing.
I was just looking. Funny.
With where we are right now, just to like finalize, like it's coming up to the conjunct, and like, what do you recommend
Ooh,
for people to be looking into feeling? Like, where do you suggest that people might better find themselves? Like, what am I going to do with this information? Like, I just watched this bloody conversation between two redheads. Like, what do you suggest that might most circumstantially benefit people in terms of where to go right now if they're like
okay.
sitting in limbo?
It's complicated because we've got two camps. You know, you talked about that parallel walk always together, the inorganic, the organic. We've got different words, Adam, we use, but the inorganic and the organic, the true authentic, and then the replica, the one, the snake, the little fucking deviant thing that happens over there. So with that, knowing that there's so much loud noise coming from that machine, so much, and it's infiltrated so much of us, and we're walking around like, you know, and they can switch and we go, all that, very aware. What would I say? I would say, well, tonight we have an eclipse tonight, my time. I'm in Australia. It's a really potent eclipse. It's all eclipses are very potent.
And they're not just just to quickly cut in there, they're not just a 10-minute event. They go for like a like, you know, large amount of time. Like, they go over a couple of days. It's not just like oh shit, I missed the portal. Like, it's nothing like that. It's a long-standing event. So it's not now or never. It's like, get onto it quickly.
Yeah. So what I would say is, because we are all connected and we are one, and that's quite profound. It's a profound and simple statement all in one, the micro, macro, like we're all one, cool, whatever, but then we're all one. And that, wow, what the fuck does that even mean? If we're all one, we're all connected. Adam was talking about that heart connection. You know, you feel that energy. We can read things. I'd just tune in and ask that question, like, what is my true self craving right now? Who am I? Not what does, like, Pamela, I don't know who Pamela is, but Pamela doing on that TV show, and I need to remember that, and we've got that job, and and there's all the things that are keeping me busy. It's just like, what do I want? And it might be the most ridiculous thing. It might be a hula hoop. Cool, follow that. You don't know where that's going. You don't know where that's going, because I've had some of those and I'm like, cool, I'll just follow this. And oh my God, I've had abundance of experience, you know. Or what do I want? I don't want to be in this relationship. Oh, I don't want to have to act on that. There's no about acting. We're not talking about doing anything here. Just connecting in. What does that mean? And then I'd feel in, just say, for example, I don't want to be in this relationship. All right, because this is a really good time to use this as like an illumination to have a look within, you know, because there's such power we can connect to. Why would I be scared to leave? Why would I not want to confront that? You know, like, just take time. You don't have to go in and go, well, where's the truth and how do I set my soul free? It doesn't work like that. It's never worked like that for me. I've had nights of the soul going, oh my God, I'm so lost. And how do I get out? It's not.
Send me a link. You are the link. We are the links.
Yes, that's it. So you just go, what do I want? What do I want? What's this little soul? I mean, I'm sure if I want a heap of prostitutes and drugs and all that, go with it. Who knows where that's going to take you if that's your heart's desire? Like, if that's truly what's in your heart and soul, follow it. No shame in that. No shame, because that, like, those drug experiences, that prostitute you might meet might take you to kingdom come. You don't know, because we don't know how she works. We just trust her. We read her as we go, you know? So you just let it unfold. So that's what I would suggest. This enough quiet time to ask the question, what do I want? And what would it take to achieve that? Because when I ask questions, what do I want? It's like this feeling comes up. And I know that I'm supported. Whatever I want, I'm supported. And because my intentions I'm not looking for money. Money's great, but not looking for all of these external things. Like, I have no attachments to that stuff. None. Like, I'm all about, like, this devotion to truth. That's all I care about. So I know the questions I'm asking. I trust myself because I know what I'm here for, know what I'm about. I've done enough studying that. You might, you know, be at a different stage and be like, I don't know if I can trust myself. then you're taking risks there, because I had to take those risks. I was like, I don't know if I can trust myself. You take a risk. Well, I've only got me. I'm just going to give it a go, you know? And sometimes it feels like this seems surreal, like it's a fantasy land, and it's is this even true? And that, you know, has pondered my mind a few times, and I still go, just going to keep walking ahead, just keep going, and thank fuck I have, and bless you, Adam, for doing the same.
Thank you. That answers the question. That's a beautiful way to end the video.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we'll
so
do another video soon. I have a feeling.
yeah, we'll definitely be doing another video soon. Got a lot to talk about. Like you said, we could talk for ages, but for now, come on, guys, let's get out of here. It's been really good getting some words out for our fellow Aussies and people of the world. I'm certain I've got people in all countries of the world that are interested in what we both have to say here. So let's take that message to the world. We are the world, and let's get into that whirl.
That's it.
Get spiraling in spirituality.
And also understand that's something else. Go and investigate the world. The word world. World, to be world. What's world? World's like a spiral whirling around. World spiral. What's this spiral thing in nature? Why is there always these spirals in nature? What's that spiral?
Nothing does not spiral. Everything's in spiralic nature, cyclical, spiralic nature.
I just want to say thank you, Adam, for this platform. Adam's been pushing me for a long time to have this courage, and it's taken me up until this point. You know, there's no rules to have the courage to have, you know, a voice. I didn't have the courage until now, and it wasn't my time. I also want to say Adam's been a big part of my own awakening and freedom, and we're so, you know, and vice versa, we're very fortunate we have each other. We know this connection's very, very special because we're brother and sister. You know, it's very rare to be one, you know, so we know that it's really important for whatever, just to keep bringing it out. So all of you, thank you as well, and go gently on me. You know, I don't claim to know everything. I'm not here. I know I see a lot of people that come out and start sharing their information and prove it, show me this information. And I just always think, oh gosh, you know, like I'm not here to
Where's your source? The source is in the fridge, mate.
I'm not here to prove anything, and I'm not here to show you anything. I'm just here to be myself, and hopefully that inspires you to want to be yourself, you know, because it's the best fun being yourself. Like I hid all my early ages from being myself, you know, just what am I and how do I fit in? And, you know, whilst also trying to like go, what the fuck is this place we're in? You know, like so many things. And now I'm like, wouldn't do it any other way. Be myself. So, yes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, world.
See you next time, everyone. Come on.
Yes. Anyone wants the astrology links, just get in touch, and I'll just ask for, what's the word? Not authority, just out of respect for those people, that I can carry their name forward to everyone. I'm sure it's not an issue, but yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. I'll hang up now. Love you.
Anyways, love you too. Love you, everyone.
Love you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
And